that I'm thinking like we should cut this from the podcast. I don't want everybody else to know. Just joking. Said crazy bankers because me and crazy bankers are like a match made in heaven, you know. Benefits of cryptocurrencies, how you can do this in a safe and less risky way, and what are the high risks of money printing and inflation. Fiat currency, you create it, you just print it however you want. Bitcoin, you cannot create it, you cannot print it however you want.
Right now, and I'm going to tell to everyone how you're going to get more views on your reels or on your videos.
It completely gets wrong. And I really like hearing how he talks. He talks about we are going to use the blockchain like it's his. Like this is like a barometer. It's like a temperature that tells you how secure and how valuable is blockchain as a technology. And this gray man cannot connect the two things together.
Welcome to our fourth episode together with Anton today, and me and Anton are back to discuss about Bitcoin, crazy bankers, how to grow your personal brand. As you know, that these two things we are discussing together. So the first part, I have prepared for Anton a little surprise to take him to the journey that he doesn't know yet. And we'll see what Anton thinks about why certain financial institutions or their leaders are saying certain things about Bitcoin. Why is it happening that way? And what Anton sees about this. So, Anton, are you ready for this new challenge, new thing?
My big smile shows that I'm very excited for this. I think, you know, I was listening to you carefully and then I was like, oh my God, surprises while, you know, we are doing our podcast. But then you said the magic words that convinced me. I'm really up for it. You said crazy bankers because me and crazy bankers are like a match made in heaven, you know. And I like to, you know, always listen to what they say. I never agree with them. So I think, you know, I'll be very fired up, you know, to say, you know, something provocative, you know, why I think they're wrong.
Yeah, I think so.
What do you think?
But why you are never agreeing with them? What is the reason? Is that the fact that, oh yeah, you tell me why you don't.
Yes, I mean, it's actually simple, you know, because when you put two crazy people together, you have the crazy bankers and you have the crazy crypto people. When you put them together, it's like kryptonite, you know, it's like, you know, not kryptonite. Kryptonite means superpower losers the powers. It means like explosion happens, you know. And I think, look, I think it's a conflict of mentality. I think it's a conflict of generations. It's a conflict of technology. And most important, it's a conflict of incentives because it's a dying, passing world of traditional finance, traditional banking that's been failing the world and the people for many decades. It's a new, you know, world being created, you know. Now, is that world, you know, working smoothly? I'm talking about the crypto world. That's a different story. Obviously, it's not working that smoothly, but it's a conflict, you know. And I mean it in a positive way, kind of like one thing that is kind of dying out, another thing that's coming. And that's why I think like I highly disagree with a lot of what the crazy bankers say, but I disagree with substance. So hopefully, you know, when I comment on these surprising facts from the crazy bankers, I provide a lot of substance why they're wrong and why I'm right or we are right, you know. Yeah, but you need to, but yeah, that's why we're here. And you will have to then be the unbiased judge. Just because we are friends for so long, you will not be biased towards what I have to say. And because you're always very honest with your opinion, you know?
I think so, yeah. Right? I don't know how to hold my opinion back sometimes. It's a bit difficult for me. But yeah, what you actually said here as well, in that sense that like they are saying their opinion, but the world is always changing and things are happening. So it's not in a sense of judging. It's about bringing new perspectives, and everyone who is listening and has something to say about this as well, whether you believe in it or don't believe in it, leave a comment down below and let's open up a discussion and let's all educate each other to see how do you see the world and where the world is going to go in towards money and finance, and is the crypto, let's say, eventually the all what we're going to have, or are we still going to be with our so-called money? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, tell me.
And then Birgit, I also want to hear from you how your crypto is are doing, you know, because you said will everything be crypto or will be with dollars? I think also if you have time, you know, later after we want to hear how your crypto portfolio is doing or your experiences with crypto.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
We'll definitely talk about that at the end,
Okay.
about my crypto's journey.
Yes.
And also for those, you know that our channel is double systems channel. In that sense, we talk about money. We talk
Yes.
about how you make yourself visible. And today, Anton is in a bit of an uncomfortable situation from my side because I prepared him videos that he doesn't know. And then I'm also have prepared him a challenge that he doesn't know yet. So those of you who would like to take part of that challenge and see how it's going to help you to grow your visibility and stay here. And yeah, so shall we dive into the first video and see what we're going to discover from there?
Look at me.
Let's
do it, you know.
Okay.
Awesome. Let's watch the first video.
Bitcoin itself is a hyped up fraud. It's a pet rock.
You're back to that?
Yeah,
Really?
Of course, yeah.
So what do you make then of BlackRock and other firms that are investing in infrastructure?
No, that's different. Blockchain is a technology ledger system that we use to move information. We've used it to do overnight repo, intraday repo. We've used it to move money.
Right.
So that is a ledger. That's a technology ledger type of thing that we think will be deployable.
Remember, we've been
talking about that for 12 years too, and very little's been done.
There's some tokens that I agree with you on, but Bitcoin's based on a distributed ledger.
Yeah,
it has all the characteristics of a store of value. It's immutable. It's scarce.
Totally untrue. It's
21 million.
Well, yeah, really. How do you know it's going to stop at 21 million?
Because
I've mentioned this to people
Satoshi,
too. Everyone says that. Well, maybe it's going to get to 21 million, and Satoshi's picture is going to come up and laugh at you.
Okay.
Yeah,
so can you walk me through 3 things over here? Number 1. Okay, actually, you start. You say first what you want to say.
Yeah. So it's very difficult to listen to that old man when he's talking about crypto and when he's talking about Bitcoin, because when you see that a lot of his gray hair, you know, is actually influencing or impacting actually his opinion about what this technology is. So just to make it very clear, he actually doesn't even know how the technology works. So this old gray man, who is, by the way, the CEO of JP Morgan, the biggest bank on the planet, he actually doesn't know how blockchain as a technology works. And let me tell you immediately, like, what he gets wrong. He doesn't understand that the security and the technology of blockchain depends on Bitcoin being a cryptocurrency and Bitcoin being used and Bitcoin being so valuable. Because the way I can kind of actually explain it to people is actually that the price of Bitcoin is like a barometer. It's like a temperature that tells you how secure and how valuable is blockchain as a technology. And this old gray man cannot connect the two things together because he thinks that the blockchain is separate from Bitcoin, actually. And this is what he actually completely gets wrong. And I really like hearing how he talks. He talks about we are going to use the blockchain like it's his. Like this is something that he owns, he controls, he can do whatever he wants with that. And Bitcoin, because you have it together with the blockchain, doesn't allow him to control it. So this is actually what he gets it completely wrong because he doesn't understand how the technology works. And one thing that shocked me is at the end, he says, you can change the blockchain, you can change Bitcoin, and anybody can do it, and Satoshi can, so this somebody can pop out and just change how it works. This is again him not understanding how the technology works. The more valuable Bitcoin is, the more blockchain as a technology is secure, and the more you cannot change it. So the price being so high means that you cannot change blockchain as a technology. And I'm very disappointed like how he thinks about it. In his talking, I definitely feel that he's very much a person that likes control. He's a person who likes power. He is a person who thinks he owns finance, he owns money, and he owns the financial world and world around us. And this is actually why Bitcoin is a threat to him. This is why blockchain is a threat to him, because he wants power, but blockchain and Bitcoin don't allow him that power. And that's why always people say that blockchain and Bitcoin are decentralized and nobody controls it. And we don't have a risk on one person actually doing whatever they want. So completely disagreeing with him. He just doesn't understand, how blockchain and Bitcoin work. It's actually sad to look at this kind of videos of him talking in this kind of videos, and just completely wrong. Very disappointed with him.
If I understand correctly, because like I said, I am not as smart as you are in this field. When he means that, for example, this 21 million can be changed or added, or I don't know exactly what his point was in that. That it means the same like nowadays we can print the money. Was that his intention of saying?
Yes, exactly. So he literally thinks that blockchain and Bitcoin are same as dollars, as fiat currency, and fiat currency he has been creating it, and central banks have been creating it out of thin air for decades. And he thinks that Bitcoin works in the same way, that you can just change something, press some key, buttons on a keyboard, and more Bitcoins are created. But this is not how Bitcoin and blockchain work. You definitely cannot change blockchain and Bitcoin the way he thinks it can be changed. And this is actually like his not understanding of the technology. And I'm so happy you asked this question, because it's people can understand this. Fiat currency, you create it, you just print it however you want. Bitcoin, you cannot create it. You cannot print it however you want.
Okay. And then that means that right now, if we have, let's say, 21 million as a Bitcoin, it will stay, or is there any kind of because we have the Bitcoin mining, we do all of that, and that obviously increases the price. But is there any way, and that sounds very stupid for me, but those of you are more smart, adding any extra blockchains or adding any extra, or is there any way to change that?
Yeah. There is no way to change blockchain and Bitcoin such that you have more Bitcoins and more, Bitcoins in the world. The only way you can change it, or people can try to change it, is to create a fake Bitcoin. And people have been trying to do that for many, many years, actually. They create, so literally means you create them out of thin air. You kind of copy paste them, and you could create new Bitcoin. But then everybody sees this is not the real Bitcoin. It's a fake Bitcoin, right? And then those fake Bitcoins obviously don't have the same value. They have no value because they're not the real Bitcoins. And this is the reason why it's kind of people difficult to understand it, because when you create dollars out of thin air, they're the same like the other dollars, right? Yes, the dollar kind of, you have inflation and dollar is devalued, but they're all kind of the same. You cannot recognize which one is fake, each one is real, right? But with Bitcoin, that cannot happen. If you create fake Bitcoins, everybody can see that they're fake and they have no value. So that's why forever we will have only 21 million Bitcoins. You cannot fake them. You cannot create them. If you create new ones, then everybody thinks that everybody sees immediately that they're fake, that they're not real, and that's why they have no value.
That's again a very smart part of it, which I had actually no idea. So those of you who didn't have no idea, hit the like button as well. You are in the same pool with me. And those who had an idea, you can leave a comment that you knew about that. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense, because the one video that I forgot to add today's, but this was just something that I was watching another day, that last year, so 2023, US by themselves printed 40% more for their dollar than they ever done before in their life. Like in 1 year, 40% more. So this is a bit scary, in my opinion, of thinking it's all going to collapse. If we keep on printing so quickly so much money, what's going to happen to it? There's going to be nothing.
Yes. Yeah, it's not real, right? Like currency dollars are not real anymore, right? Because you print them so much, and you give it to the banks, obviously, right? And then banks do whatever they want with that. They benefit the most from it because they get the first, these fake dollars, printed dollars, and then it's completely unsustainable. Like people can understand it, everybody can understand it. Like you cannot keep on creating fake stuff, fake dollars, print them out of thin air, and the system cannot be stable, right? Nature even cannot be stable if you create too much of something, right? So we kind of understand it, like doesn't work, right? And wow, it's amazing you mentioned that, because it's like a very powerful illustration, and people can understand it. It's because it's very powerful that this is not stable and it will collapse at one point.
Yeah, and we'll definitely bring that in for the next video where I have the facts with it. Okay, so we had that one. Now we have a next bank coming up that made something different now.
Really big news yesterday, and I waited until today to just get all the information to make sure it was correct. Blackrock, okay, the guys who launched their own Bitcoin ETF, Blackrock, the company that owns a little bit of everything, kind of a monopoly, kind of a concerning thing, but they're launching a fund on the Ethereum blockchain, not buying Ethereum tokens. They're launching a fund on the blockchain, which means it will be, all the assets will be on the blockchain, and everything they do will be traceable on the blockchain. They'll be using Ethereum's ecosystem for real. It's the first time a major bank has done something like this, and it's going to increase Ethereum's valuation. The market has not realized it yet. You can argue that it has, but in the crypto world, it has not realized its valuation yet. So if you weren't bullish on Ethereum or less bullish because of Solana and everything, turn that around, stick in Ethereum. This thing is going to be around for a long time. BlackRock does their homework. I'm going to make a longer video about this on YouTube. Make sure to check it out in the coming days. But huge, huge, huge news, and it just shows that this bull market is nowhere near done. We still have the entrance, the big guys still coming in. All right, very exciting stuff.
So, what do you think of that?
Awesome. So, yeah. So actually, I'm like, Caesar in Arena when he was about to go thumbs down or thumbs down. So I will give it a thumbs up. So this is a thumbs up video. So let me now, okay, perfect. Yes, exactly. Thumbs up. So let me explain like what he gets correct. And let me also then tell you where he doesn't get things right. I think he doesn't understand. I think this is not a crypto guy. I think this is a finance guy working on Wall Street who reads about crypto late in the evening when his boss is not looking at him, So then he got certain things incorrect. So let me tell you like what he's right is that BlackRock, so it's the world's largest asset manager. So that means that they're like own everything. Like all the companies in the end, one way or the other, like are owned through BlackRock. Like BlackRock creates these funds, and these funds, buy companies around the world, and then BlackRock owns these funds, and that's why kind of they are kind of considered as one of the most powerful financial institutions on the planet because they kind of own everything in the world, like pretty much everything, like of value that you can imagine. Somehow these BlackRock funds they own it. So that's correct, actually. Now, BlackRock took one of the funds they have, and then they kind of put it on a blockchain, So just kind of imagine it, like blockchain is where you have all of these coins and tokens, and BlackRock just said, I have one fund in this boring old traditional finance world. Let me put it on the blockchain as a token. So we have it as a token on the blockchain, and then we can, do something with it. We can transfer it. We can see transparently what's happening. We can try to leverage technology to make it more smoother, more efficient, cheaper, kind of better. So this is what this guy also gets correctly. What he doesn't get correctly is the impact of this happening, and he actually gets it wrong that the crypto markets don't know what's happening. So one of the big balloons for celebration. So one of the biggest news actually in the last 6 months was that BlackRock took one of the funds that they have in the old, boring, traditional finance world, and that they put it on Ethereum. So everybody actually in the crypto world know it. It was like the biggest news. So this is what he got wrong. The second thing is what he got wrong is the importance of that. Now, the reason why that's not so important, it's not like a big thing that happened practically, like day to day, did not change anything, is because the people who buy this kind of funds from BlackRock, these things that they put on the blockchain, they all live in traditional finance. They're not doing crypto, they're not doing tokens, they're not doing Ethereum. They don't know a lot about the crypto world, about blockchain. So they're the people who are kind of using those funds, they're not using blockchain. So if you put something that they use on the blockchain where they're not there, then it actually doesn't make actually a big impact. And let me give you like an example. Let's say you go, you go to the desert and you sell people water. That's good, right? Because they need water, right? And they, if you sell them water, it's like a great thing, like you're selling something that they need, right? But imagine in the desert, you come to people and you say, I'm selling sand. They will tell you, bro, I already have a lot of sand and I don't care about it, right? It's not relevant for me. It's something, I need something that I need, And that's why like there's a disconnect. And actually like what the BlackRock put in one of their funds as a token on Ethereum, it's not relevant because the people who use and buy these funds, they're not on Ethereum. They're in the traditional finance world. So still, Caesar doing this and that, I give him a thumbs up. He understands, that this is big deal. It's big news. It's important, but it's not as important as people think. So we are a long way to go, but it's positive because kind of like when a big player does something on blockchain and crypto world, it brings a lot of attention. So it's positive for the crypto world.
Okay. And that's actually leads me up to the next question in terms of BlackRock, because like you said, BlackRock is, old institutional way of making other people rich and so on. And I mean investment and all of that.
Yes.
If in the sense of they are actually taking certain steps, like you mentioned, that there is a need and there's a demand. Of course, everybody in this world, the business and bankers and everything works towards where there is a need, where there is a demand, we're going to provide for it. But that's also, in that sense, shows us that things they even themselves, even though, let's say, they're so-called crazy bankers or old mentality, realizes that demand is getting so big that we need to start changing certain things in our systems, because we cannot no longer, maybe, and this is completely what I'm coming up with, so I might not be right here, that the younger generations and the younger audience, or even that they're shifting their money into different assets, let's say that buying Bitcoin, like me, for example, now, after all of that time, that they are starting to lose the control and they need to make certain changes. Even though, yes, I know that new ideas and new ways are coming up with the CBDCs, and I don't know what is there. We're going to discuss about that, I think, in our next episodes. But just from my perspective, it shows that things are really moving towards a new world, new money, and so-called Bitcoin, or I don't even know what's going to be in the future. You can tell me. And they are feeling it and they are acting on it.
Yes, exactly. I think also, I wanted to ask you for your opinion about this. Like, how is it when you work with clients who come from a bit of a older, different background, when you tell them about social media, about digital marketing, how difficult or not difficult it is for you to convince them, because I think this is very similar, right? Because, you have like old people trying to use new technology and kind of seeing the future. So how is it for you when you talk to somebody who is a bit older and you're talking about the power of social media, power of digital distribution, power of digital marketing? Like, how easy or not easy it is for you to explain to them what's going on and convince them?
Very difficult. I think that's why I always say, and everybody who's listening, work with young people. If you want to get there, you work with young people because they understand technology, they understand the trends, they understand what is happening. They're capable of learning very quickly something. So even for me in my team, I prefer to have younger audience around me because they are way ahead of what is going to come. But when I need to convince now someone, I've given up on this, if I'm going to be totally honest. Within the 15 minutes, if I have an introduction call, I'm like, I think it's not going to get anywhere. Like, we're not going to get anywhere. And it's not because, let's say, even if the money would be great or things like this, let's say they have a great offer and they have it, I waste a lot of my energy into something that every time I get, oh, no, let's not do this. Oh, no, let's not try this. Oh, no, this is too much out there. And for me, it's like, well, we need to see results. We need to be different. We need to do something. We need to go with a future that is coming. We need to be the future. That's what we need to be, not in the past, how traditionally we were doing. So ideally, it's very difficult for me, and that's why I have an introduction calls before seeing that, can I make you successful? Will you be adaptable? Will you going to do the work, what I'm going to ask you? Because as soon as I hear the no, I already know that, well, then it's not going to happen. And I have made these mistakes over and over again because of course, maybe from my ego to prove for myself that, no, I can make them successful. No, I can do this. And eventually it's like me carrying a heavy bag with me and I cannot move forward because this bag is so heavy and I'm always stuck in the same place because it's like, no, we don't do this. No, this is too much. Don't know what the world will think of me. And I'm like, well, we'll never get to know if we're not going to try, because internet or social media nowadays is your best customer. In that sense, you're going to put out something there, you're going to get the feedback quite quickly, and you get to see, the same desert example, what you were bringing in. They need this. Okay, I'm going to build my product or my service around this. But what we do, and this is also what business schools and marketing schools are doing, they start to tell you that you sitting in, let's say, on the meetings or traditional meetings and think about what people want without even asking, what these people want? And I'm like, this is pointless, because you are creating a product that nobody wants. Then you're chasing the customers, and then you're chasing investors, and everything is like, nobody wants this. How about do it reversed? Study the market, go out there, see what kind of feedback do you get, what people are asking from you, and then come with the rest of the things, your website, your product, your things. Because if you really have something like so wow that you are offering, believe me, if you have an audience, the moment you launch something, they will want this, like, because it's there. It's not that you're going to miss out something. But I see this over and over again. This is how I say that work with young people, because they are going out there, they are doing it, they are there. But of course, we always need a little bit of a balance. So it's good to have some who has an experience and some who has like sees the future. And so I'm saying that working with traditional, so everyone who is listening and would like to have a call with me would welcome, but I'm just,
Don't.
you're welcome, but I'm just going to say I'm very picky, because my main aim is to make you successful. I wouldn't accept, and I made this mistake. I've been in this world over 13 years now. I've made this mistake where I'm putting so much time and effort, and then I'm stuck. I'm just stuck because we argue about words. Oh, this word, we wouldn't. I'm like, nobody cares. We don't even know what your audience wants until we're gonna do it. So yeah, I think it's very similar in both ways, that to convince the old system that things are they're not working anymore like this. Especially, I would say, let's say last decade, everything has changed, everything. But the way we are teaching or the way we have an understanding is like 40 years ago. And they're two different worlds. So it was a good question. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to the third one, and let's see what this one brings us. Okay.
Simply flooded the system with money.
Yes, we did. That's another way to think about it. We did.
Where does it come from? Do you just print it?
We print it digitally. So we as a central bank, we have the ability to create money digitally, and we do that by buying treasury bills or bonds or other government guaranteed securities, and that actually increases the money supply. We also print actual currency, and we distribute that through the Federal Reserve Bank.
So I have to say, this was actually a video. So for people who don't know, this was a video by the chairman of the Federal Reserve in US, so the central bank in US. And he actually described in a very, very nice way how the central bank prints money. And I will just clarify a little bit what he said, because he used very big words that are difficult to understand if you don't know financial markets in detail, like I understand, if you're not an expert, So he kind of described that the central bank prints money, and then they kind of said, oh, but we buy some T-bills and treasuries, and then something happens. And he digitally creates, dollars. So let me explain what he meant by this. He means that he creates dollars. So literally, like on the keyboard, they write, create $10 billion. And what he does, he gives those $10 billion to the banks first. And then banks are the first one to benefit from this newly created fake dollars, printed dollars. And then the banks can do whatever they want with these dollars. So this is how money printing actually works in financial world, is that the central bank, with a click of a button, they create billions and billions of these newly printed, freshly printed fake dollars, and they first give them to the banks. and then the banks can do whatever they want with those dollars, and they are the first one to benefit from the fact that there's more dollars in the system, these digital dollars. So he made a very beautiful explanation, actually, how you print money today, because people usually, when you tell them, close your eyes and explain to me how does money printing work, they somehow imagine that there's paper going somewhere and somebody's putting color and then slicing the paper so you have dollars, and then you kind of, where do these dollars even go? This is how people kind of imagine it, right? But he explained it beautifully, that money printing today is created digitally. The central bank clicks a button, creates billions of dollars, and first they give them to the banks, and the banks benefit first from these freshly printed fake dollars that are in the system.
Yeah. And in that sense, it's illusion somehow. It doesn't exist, We are using the money that is not there. It's never been there, to be honest, in that sense. Like just pressing a button. It was just another day I was listening to a podcast, and I came across where, because I have understood now, because obviously because we're doing this podcast together, I'm researching better, I'm trying to understand things better and educate myself financially, that US and in so-called, because US, of course, dollar is the main currency that we operate. Dollar is like, that makes sense of the things, like, yeah.
The biggest.
Yeah. And since of the Bitcoin and all of that has come to the market and things are changing and shifting. And so the main reason why we don't pretty much adapt like Bitcoin so well, or we have troubles, and of course it's a new technology, new things, is pretty much is a threat for US system.
Yes.
And exactly. So that's why they are creating constantly so-called problems to not to allow Bitcoin to be widely used or accessible, or find the ways. And do you agree with that?
Absolutely agree with you. And think about it. Bitcoin is something that they can't control, right? And governments and banks are all about control of money. And then if you have something that you cannot control, that people can, buy easily and hold it and use it easily, then there's a huge threat. Because, we are humans, we're people, right? In the end, it's all about control and power. And if you start losing control, you feel threatened, and then you do something to prevent someone getting, you losing power and you losing control and somebody else getting. But I think what's beautiful about Bitcoin and blockchain is that the people are the ones getting the control. The people, everyday people, are the ones getting the power, and that's actually how people benefit, because they are no longer having problems with the central banks printing money out of thin air, fake money, and then using it to benefit, because the people then suffer. Now we're turning the positions. Is the people who benefit from blockchain and Bitcoin.
But here is, I've been thinking since the beginning we started this podcast. For example, right now, what will happen, and what you just imagine or anything, let's say, because we know it's 21 million Bitcoins, and of course, like, the price shifts according to US dollars still. It's the one that, I mean, is it $21 million then? Or how?
No, it's 21 million. It's 21 million Bitcoins, but then you have price in dollars, Then you have like the... Exactly.
And I'm just going to say to everyone who doesn't have, let's say, Bitcoins yet and haven't bought themselves or anything like this, let's just imagine. It's just an imagine. It's not real. It's nothing like this, but it's just been bothering me since we started. Let's say the world is going to change within 2 years, like completely. Like finance will fall apart, the way the dollar disappears, all of that. What will happen to those, for example? Because if some people right now are buying a lot of Bitcoins for themselves, they have secured for themselves that they have X amount of Bitcoins. But let's say there are people who do not buy any Bitcoins, and let's say the whole system will collapse. What will happen to them?
Yeah, that's a very dangerous situation, and a very powerful question for you, is because when you have big changes, right, and a collapse happens, it's very interesting what happens in the real life is that you have winners and losers that appear through this collapse. So everybody who has something hard asset, something of value, Bitcoin, real estate, commodities, oil, so everything that's real that people need, they benefit, right? Because they are protected by these real things. And everybody who doesn't have real things, so they have just dollars, they have paper currencies, they're ones who are going to lose. And I'll give you one personal example. How my family has seen that actually. So I was born in Croatia, but Croatia was part of Yugoslavia in the 80s. And Yugoslavia had huge inflation at the end of the 80s. So when I was very young, and my parents were very highly educated, and my mother was a CFO, chief financial officer. She was an accountant in a big firm and a finance expert in a big firm. So she understood inflation. She understood that there are going to be winners and losers in this situation. So what my parents did when inflation started appearing, because the central bank was printing too much money, my parents bought real estate, vineyards, cars, everything they could to get. So they wanted to get rid of the currency that was getting less valuable every day because the inflation was so high. And they were buying stuff that are real, actually. And I remember my father was telling me later, he told me that they would get a salary. So my parents would get a salary every Friday. You would get a salary. And then my mother would not work on Friday, such that she would take the salary from my father and her salary, and she would go out and spend it immediately. To buy the houses, to buy the cars, to buy the vineyards, to buy real estate, because she knew that if she holds currency just for one more week, it's going to be a lot less valuable. And that's how today I have houses and apartments, and I own a vineyard, by the way, if you can imagine it, And it's because my parents were highly educated, and my mother understood finance. She understood inflation and money printing, and my parents were the winners in this situation because they came out of the inflation and crazy money printing with a lot of things that were real, and they were not so impacted by that. But a lot of other families and a lot of other people were very, very negatively impacted because they were holding the currency, which was getting less valuable every week. Can you imagine it? Every week, your currency is a lot less valuable. So this is my personal story, my personal experience. And that's why I'm not a big believer in fiat currency, because my family has experienced it. I have seen it, like my family has seen it. I know it. You don't have to convince me that inflation and central bank money printing is bad, because my family has seen it. So I know how to protect myself, but that's why you and I are having a podcast that we're explaining these things. And even I shared now something very personal from my family, but we're explaining it to people. What is the benefits of cryptocurrencies, how you can do this in a safe and less risky way, and what are the high risks of money printing and inflation.
And that brings me to the next question, because we were talking about it in our second episode about like me buying the Bitcoins now, finally having this going on there.
Yes.
But then you also said you need to know when to sell it in order when it's going to, let's say, it's going to be over. But can be there ever, like, do you feel it, that ever going to be a situation where we no longer really need to sell the Bitcoin, which means the Bitcoin becomes as currency, what we're going to really use?
I think they will come, but when Bitcoin is a bit less volatile. Because today Bitcoin is still very, very volatile, so it goes up a lot, right? We talk, you and I, Birgith, talk a lot about this on our podcast. How Bitcoin goes up a lot and then goes up too much, right? It goes up too much and then it collapses, right? And then you have these big cycles, right? And I think that most people should not go through that, right? Most people should have a little bit of understanding, a little bit of information to maybe when the Bitcoin goes up too much, that they kind of adjust a little bit so maybe instead of then having a lot of Bitcoins, you say, okay, I'm going to take out part of my profits, let's call it like that, and buy a real estate or buy a nice car or buy something nice for my family, right? So I think like this is what we want to do. This is what we want to do, and this is what we want to help people with. But I think like only when Bitcoin becomes less volatile people will be able to hold it all the time and not kind of, well, they will not matter kind of how it goes up.
And this actually is another question, since we're talking about dollar and printing money and all of this. Is there a way that because right now we still see it in dollars, but if dollar is going to collapse, what's going to happen then? Which currency? It's the next currency that comes up and it's going to be the one that is holding. That's how we're going to do it?
Yeah, so the experience has shown in the past, in the centuries and centuries, that you have a dominant currency. It's usually tied to the biggest economy or the most powerful nation. And then as this nation, it kind of grows, it's powerful, right? And then everybody uses their currency. Then it starts going down, right? And then the nation, the economy collapses, and then their currency collapses as well. And then a new emerging powerful nation appears, and then their currency is most dominant, actually, right? So if you ask me, like, is this going to happen again? I think this is the most likely, actually. And if I would have to say, okay, who could it be? I would say look east. Who could be that next nation who is going to be the most powerful? I'm talking about Asia or India, actually, because they're growing like crazy for the last decades, becoming more and more powerful. And then naturally their currency is becoming more powerful because the currency is somehow tied to the economy, that what the economy is producing. So, but what will be the role of Bitcoin there? I think Bitcoin will be like currency that's free from all of these constraints that you have as a nation, or that you have as a citizen of the nation. So sometimes something that protects you even from the risks of the nation where you live, of the economy where you are part of. So I think, like, in sometimes in marketing they call it a North Star, right? So I think Bitcoin is going to be a North Star for people in the future as a hard asset that they can buy and hold to protect themselves.
Okay, and exactly talking about collapsing, it brings us to the last video,
yes.
which I want
Yes.
you to react on and say to me, what do you think of that? So let's see this one.
Bitcoin will go to fucking zero
one day,
and a microsecond, whoop, like that. And when the real founder of Bitcoin comes out, it is my humble opinion, and there's nothing humble about me, Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
Yeah, I can comment.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So look, I think that person doesn't really. I think like an old person with a lot of gray hair who's trying to explain what's going to happen with Bitcoin. I think just that person doesn't understand the reality today. Today, Bitcoin is an established asset that millions and millions of people around the world hold it because of the value that Bitcoin has, which means that it's limited quantity, 21 million. It's scarce. You cannot print it out of thin air. You cannot create it, and you cannot control it. It's decentralized. So the power is among the people, So that's actually what's backing the value of Bitcoin. And you also have money printing. Money printing also drives the value of Bitcoin, because the more dollars you have in the system, the more price goes up, actually, of Bitcoin. So that person is, completely wrong. He's just talking bullshit, pardon my language. But again, he's talking about some person appearing who is controlling Bitcoin, and then that person somehow crashing the price of Bitcoin. This is not how Bitcoin works. Bitcoin is decentralized, meaning that there doesn't exist a single person or a single company or a single nation that controls it, but actually all the power is distributed between all the people who used blockchain and who use Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency. So I highly disagree with that gray-haired old person said. But he's funny to listen, he's a little bit eccentric. I'm sure this video attracts a lot of attention, but I think, it's our job, Birgith, yours job and mine, to actually say this is all wrong and he's talking just nonsense.
And why he's so, of course, another question is exactly he brings in that, if you get to know who is really behind it, then it's going to collapse. And I had just two ideas in my head. That one of the things is that, because like you said, it's us, it's we people who control the price pretty much, and we are the ones who are in charge of this. And so it's just out of curiosity, why he would think of that, or what is the reason that if, let's say, it comes out, I don't know, it's the worst person on earth, that everybody's going to start selling their Bitcoins then, or is that scenario even possible? Let's say we get to know who is behind it.
Yeah, I think what I mean, I am trying to assume like what he thinks, but I think what he thinks is that there is one person, let's say the creator of Bitcoin, and that person owns a lot of Bitcoins. And if he decides to sell a lot of Bitcoins, then that impacts the price, right? Because if somebody's selling a lot, that pushes the price down. But that's not realistic in a sense that today Bitcoin is so valuable. So many people believe in it. Even if people want to sell it, I can tell you there's going to be people who are going to buy it. And let me tell you like this. If Bitcoin ever drops to $1 or 1 cent, I'm going to be happily to buy all of them because there's only 21 million Bitcoins. And if it drops to $1, that's only 21 million. I'll buy all of them. So you don't have to worry about that. The price is not going to go that low. And I tell you, I'm not the only person who thinks like that. So to disprove that if Bitcoin is ever close to zero, you can count on me to buy them all below above zero. So
I like that. I like that. This is a good one. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Okay, so it looks like we have some kind of a solutions, and maybe we gave some kind of an overview of how do we see it, or how actually Anton sees it, and I'm just learning and educating myself. But now I'm gonna move towards, because many of you know that me and Anton are growing Anton's YouTube, Anton's brand overall. And so I'm just gonna ask a few questions since the last time we had a call. How's your YouTube doing? Where we are today with your YouTube?
Yeah, so YouTube is doing really well. I'm pushing a lot of shorts. So I've been really trying to be very, very consistent that I upload as much shorts as possible. And sometimes I would upload 3 and more shorts per day.
And
one thing actually...
No, you tell me.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry. So overall, the shorts are performing quite well. So I'm getting like 400, 500 views per short, people watching them, you know. I'm getting more and more comments now. I'm getting a lot more likes. So before I would get like views, but there would be no likes and no comments. And now I'm getting likes and comments actually to the shorts that I'm uploading. I think that I know a little bit what's the reason for that is because I have been actually starting to upload shorts, but with provocative topics that I think a lot of the other people will like. So for instance, now I'm talking more about specific cryptocurrencies, and usually I talk like, this cryptocurrency is garbage. And everybody who buys or thinks this crypto is, well, I'm telling you you're wrong and it's garbage and it's crap, you know? So it's more provocative, you know, kind of to provoke a reaction. And then I see like people get provoked by this kind of like strong statements, you know? It's not like each video of mine is like that, but many of them are now. I do it a bit strategically. I also noticed that some cryptocurrencies have a very strong community because whenever I do a post or a video about them, a lot of people comment. And I'm like, so either, I mean, just to say, I'm being very transparent with you, Birgith. Either those are real people who are very passionate, or these are bots created by the people who, run or operate this cryptocurrency, and then they react to my videos, you know. But overall, I'm very happy. I also notice sometimes my videos don't perform very well, like they get very few views, but I think it's very dependent on my mood. So if I do the shorts where I'm kind of not in the best mood, I'm slow, I'm not talking, I don't have great energy, I see it like that the videos don't really perform that well. So this is it. I'm very happy, and I'm getting followers now. So like I really like they're kind of coming. The followers are coming. It's not like crazy growth, but I think what's missing there for me, why I'm not growing where I think I'm definitely need to improve, where I have a big challenge is long format videos. So I have to find a process and a way. You see, I can talk a lot. I'm a person. Birgith knows this, so just everybody who's listening, I can talk for a lot. I don't have a problem with that. But somehow I need to find a way how I record my thoughts in a long format video around topics that are relevant for the people and that I know that are relevant for me in a sense that I can talk about them. So that's a little bit my observation. But since you're an expert, I would love to hear as well kind of what you have observed and what do you recommend and where I need to grow and improve.
Definitely. With this month that is coming, I'm going to take a little bit over Anton's YouTube in terms of going to put a few things from that podcast and everything over there, and just to grow it and show it how it's going to happen even faster. And again, I'm going to come back to this. like I see right now that Anton has 184 subscribers, and when we started, it was around 150 or 147 the last time, and so on. And I want to say this to everyone over here, and that's why I love working with Anton, is that, yes, it comes slowly. It doesn't happen overnight. There are things you're going to learn. There are things you're going to do wrong, but do not stop, because the moment you stop, you're back to zero. And I always say to my clients, do not invest, let's say 6 months that you're doing it, and then the motivation drops. And I'm going to say, normally it's not even after 6 months, it's after a month or 2 months, because apparently nobody wants to watch you. But for you, it's to overcome that. Like, you need to have a discipline that, okay, I'm going to do it regardless, whatever it is there. And from there, I'm going to learn. So first, do what you know the best. And then we're going to change and shift and develop from there on. So that's what we are doing right now. So as you can see today, we have 184, and our last podcast was doing very well. Actually, not the last one. I'm here. The one before, the second one was doing very well. So thank you for everyone who watched. Thank you for everyone who commented. Thank you for everyone who were there, because of your feedback really helps us to deliver what you need and how it's going to work. And now I'm going to take you to Anton Instagram, because we're going to talk about today on Instagram for those who would like to, because Anton. So what I see that Anton is doing right now, and I'm going to tell to everyone how you're going to get more views on your reels or on your videos. So Anton, you have 1,396 followers right now. And what is your, you have your phone next to you? What is your average followers that are coming right now?
So actually, I was checking this yesterday. I'm getting around 2 to 3 followers per day. And just very interesting, they usually appear during the night. I get my new followers in the evening times, or when I wake up in the morning, I saw that they became my new followers. Just to say, Birgith, sorry to interrupt. Just to say, Birgith, I'm super happy how my Instagram is performing. Like, I'm getting now very often more than 1,000 views on my Instagram reels. And this is really a lot for me. And I'm doing that fairly consistently. If you scroll through my reel feed, you see actually that it's very consistent, you know. But very interesting is, like, I upload the reels, and then I'm like waiting, where are my friends? All of these nice people who have been knowing me for years. By the way, you like them all the time. You and my other friend, Frank, you like them all the time. Where are these people who know me very well, liking it and supporting it, commenting? They're not doing that. But then I realize is, you know, when I get likes in the evening from people who I don't know. And I don't know, like, maybe you can tell me why this is happening, but I think maybe it's like US people are watching my reels, you know, or it's just people are scrolling and going through my reels in the evening before they go to sleep. So maybe then that's when they're most active. But
I
really
assume
like
it's
to
the US audience. Even for me, it's the same, that I go to bed and then I wake up in the morning, and because I think US audience is one of the most active. They are also, that's why so-called becoming an influencer in US or something is easier, because the audience is very adaptable. They spend a lot of time there. Their life is around social media a lot. And it's often US audience who will come during the night. But of course, some others, actually the crypto audience is the one who is like a night owls or are awake during that time. So that can be another thing. But now I'm going to walk you through what I need you to do. And for everyone who is listening and wants to change in order to get more views for their reels, so here is something you need to now implement into your strategy. And that's Anton's 30 days challenge from here. So in about 1 month, we're going to see if that worked or it didn't work. And that's actually reusing your content. So let's say Anton posts today why I disagree with this JP Morgan guy, for example. We had that video, why I disagree with his understanding of Bitcoin, because Bitcoins are only 21 million and we cannot reproduce them. Next video. The next thing is you make a carousel or an infographic post. I would recommend a carousel post where you have many slides that people need to stop. So then you're going to put, let's say, for example, there are only 21 million Bitcoins. We cannot reproduce them. And here is why. And then you're going to put the facts, why we cannot and everything. And then the third one that you can do after this obviously can be something with yourself, with your lifestyle, or something. Let's say you are somewhere, let's say an event like Anton goes to, or something like this. What starts to happen when we do things like this is, for example, if I come across with your carousel post and I like it, the next time when I go to, let's say I just scroll on my reels, your reels will pop up for me because I liked your infographics. Because what happens with reels is sometimes it's difficult immediately to get the people's attention because, like it comes to you, you don't have a time to exactly watch it right now, you go over. But but then you guarantee that you have visual that talks about the same topic that you do in the video. Yeah. And you already double the chances that people will start seeing your reels. So everyone who is listening to this, try that method for 30 days and see. But always after another. So think of yourself when you do this. Use Canva, for example, for this. Or any other editing. I would say Canva is the easiest. They have a free even version of it. And you can immediately do it on the phone, upload it on your Instagram, or schedule the way I do. I like scheduling things, but everybody has their own way of doing it. I'm just going to say, if you schedule, you're going to have better results. Anton doesn't want to listen to me.
Sorry. So sorry.
But you're going to have a structure. Of course, there are daily things that are happening. It doesn't have to be one-on-one. But just see when you do the same of video and then you do infographic afterwards of that, how it's going to change the views you're going to get for your social media.
Wow.
For your reels.
Wow. Birgith, this is some very serious, sophisticated insider information that I'm thinking we should cut this from the podcast. I don't want everybody else to know. Just joking. Just joking.
But everybody can try.
This is really
and we
serious.
will see it in 30 days here, what happened to if Anton had a higher reach, if things started to happen. And so that's the challenge for Anton. And as you can see, we are growing here. We are very happy that you like our podcast. If you have any questions, if you have anything that you would like us to do and show it to you and share, leave a comment down below, subscribe, because all of your support helps us to provide you more insights, more help, and bring in things that will help you to grow as well. We are not only here for our growth, we are here to grow you as well.
Exactly. It's sharing is caring. And I really I'm very, very grateful that we have you, Birgith, sharing this information and also giving practical advices like how to grow. And, I also really, if you have any question for Birgith, please, write it in the comments or reach out to us via DM. And I would definitely, Birgith, I have a question actually, because maybe you can tell us so you're right. I don't schedule my posts on Instagram and YouTube. I just blast them, and usually the way I do it, I just upload them one after the other. And it takes 5-10 minutes that I upload many of them. Let's say 5 of them I upload in 10 minutes, Is there a positive or negative impact because I do that? What's your experience? Am I doing something wrong? Am I doing something right? Because I literally go and I just blast 5 videos in a row on Instagram and then I let them hang there.
Also, here is a good point, which we haven't touched upon. I would recommend you to, because now you have done already so many videos, start looking up for when your audience is more or less online. Also, try to put them not one after another. So do one in the morning, one in the noon, one in the evening. Because here you already mentioned something on your Instagram, for example, that you're getting audience in the evening, which means that maybe to schedule some of them into a nighttime where the US audience is more active and you can gain from there. So I would just say that these type of things actually matter, and you have now already a data that you look up when they are available. Yes. So I would recommend you to start now going more strategical, which and that's why I said I'm gonna take over your YouTube a little bit with this podcast. Yeah. I'm gonna post things, I'm gonna do certain things there that all of you are able to see, and then again we're gonna discuss if it worked or it didn't work. And I know nobody likes to hear about the scheduling, But I'm just going to say, Anton, try this month. Just try this month that you do a little different, that you schedule a little bit ahead. I will tell you that you'll have different results because you're starting to go more strategic. You're starting to understand when and how. So as the main importance is that you keep people coming back. And another thing that Anton mentioned here, support each other. That's why we are here. As we often, if you would like to become successful, we are happy to support you. We are happy to give you everything. Do the same thing, because everything that what goes around comes around. So it's that simple. 100%. And as you know, that to support someone who has an information, to support someone who is giving you something that can change your life is the best thing you can do.
Exactly.
So yeah.
I'm so happy with you. I'm so happy. And Birgith, just to say, what's going to happen in 1 month, I'm going to come to you on our podcast and say, wow, look at the amazing results that we got now. It's because we did, and then I'll repeat what you said. And you'll be like, yes, exactly like I told you, by the way, and I'll be like, oh, I didn't do it sooner. So, but I'm really grateful we're doing this like in public. We're building in public and learning and having results in public so everybody can see. And I think like in a couple of years, when we watch these videos again and reflect on our journey, I think we'll all have a good laugh, probably somewhere, we will chin, and toast to, I don't drink alcohol, but, we can toast to the, success. And I think it's going to also be awesome. So really thank you for doing this and, being on the journey with you.
Yes, same here. I totally agree with you. One day we can laugh about it. We'll see it. And that's life. That's a journey. And we are here to take most of this journey. So let's kind of catch up like close today. We will try to be here every Thursday if the world still spins around and everything goes well. And make sure to like and subscribe and be here, as then we can bring in more insights. And if there is anything that you would like to learn, you would like to know, you feel like, yes, react on this video, tell us about this, everything in the comments, and we do that.
Awesome. Can't wait. Thanks very much, and subscribe and like and see you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.